Hey guys, welcome to part 4 of my Godot beginner tutorial series where we're going to be building this endless runner game in Godot engine. So guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do subscribe now and hit that notification bell to not miss any of these tutorials going forward. So in this tutorial we're going to look at how we can set up the player as well as just a few collisions as well, just to get started and just to get the scene just built out a little bit further. So first thing we want to do is we want to make sure we've got our player scene open so that we can just start adding some animations and so on. And let's just jump into the player. So if you don't know how to get this open, you can go into players, player.tscn, and you'll see this player node. So what we're going to do here is add an animation. So right click on the player and click on add child node and search for animated sprite. Then the animated sprite needs some frames, so go over to frames on the right and just click on this drop down and click on new sprite frames. Click on it again to get this window where we'll be able to add our different sprites to create our various animations. So first one we want is a jump animation, so rename this to jump and then add another one called run. So just double click on that and call it run. So for our actual sprite frames, what we want to do is go into sprites over here and go into player. So for our run animation, we're going to start off with the standing dog pose, and then we're going to move into the pose where the legs are fully extended and where the legs have been pulled back for a new extension and a run. So that's going to be our run animation. For our jump, we're going to have something similar. So we're going to have dog 1 as our starting position. We're going to have the tilted dog for our jump, and for our landing we're going to have this image. So hit save for your project, and that should be it for your jump and run animations. We will bring this in once we start creating this player script. But for now we want to just start by adding some colliders so that our player can collide with our floor, which also doesn't have a collider at this point. So we're building this out basically by what we require, when we require it. So let's start off with the player. We definitely need a collider. So in order to do this, we need to change this to a body, because we're going to be affecting the physics of our player to allow it to jump. So we're going to change this node to a kinematic body. So right click and go to change type and then search for kinematic body 2D. So now you'll see there's this warning which wants us to add a collision shape. So right click, add a child node and search for collision, and then choose this collision shape 2D. Here on the right we can go and create a collision shape. So just create a new rectangle shape 2D and then resize it up to fit our player. So that's about right, because we just care about the landing. We don't really need to do the entire player, but let's maybe just do it as closely as possible, something like that, and hit save. So now we need to add a collider to our floor so that our player can actually stand on our floor. So to do that, we're going to go over to our foreground, or if you don't have that open, you can go here into FGBG and go to foreground.tscn and double click on that. So to add the collider on our foreground, we also just need to make a small little change, and that's to add a body. So we need a static body for this. And the reason we can use a static body is because this is actually not moving. This shader is handling this animation for us rather than it changing our geometry. So we can actually add this as a static body, which will make it more efficient in our end game. So go ahead, static body, and once again we need a collision shape 2D. So right click, add child node, and we're going to look for collision again, and we'll use a collision shape 2D, and again we'll create a rectangle shape. So resize that up and just make it fit our plane or our floor. So something like this, and then just bring it down. It should be good for our collision shape for our floor. And actually this is probably all we're going to need for our floor going forward. So I'm actually going to close this off. So now what we want to do is we want to just get some things going with our player. So we're going to open the player script, and we'll just add some very basic things. One is we're going to get the animation to play. So I'm going to get rid of all of this and just clean this up. And in the ready, we're going to actually call animation. So to use our animation or animated sprite, I'm going to use our onReady, which is going to wait until our scene is ready essentially. And then I'm going to just create a variable called animation, and that's going to equal $animated sprite, which will then get this animated sprite over here. So now we can use animation dot play, and we can actually just play our run animation. So the other reason for this is if we have to go ahead and change this to a different node, let's say we rename this to player animated sprite, then we could simply in our script just go and say player animated sprite like this, and then we won't have to change any of our code here. So let's undo this. So that's just a little trick to just help you not have to continuously change all your code all over the place. Okay, and then that's going to play our run animation. So let's bring our player into our scene and see what this looks like. So go over to the game scene, or if you don't have that, you can go into scenes and then game.tscn to open it up. So now you'll see we already have a collider here on our floor, but our player is not going to fall yet because we haven't applied graphics. So something else I just want to mention here, we are using a kinematic body 2D. You could use a rigid body if you want to use Godot's physics engine, but we're going to use kinematic body 2D so that we've got full control over how our player moves, and we don't have to rely on physics or weight or angular velocity or anything like that. Right, so back into our game, we're going to then bring our player in. So in our player folder, we will, not this one, that's our sprites. We want to go into our scenes and go into players, and then we want to drag this onto our game node. So now you'll see our player in our scene, and let's just bring our player down to here and hit play. So now you'll see we've got our run animation playing as the default along with the scrolling background. So it's already looking like this player is running in our game and running on this floor over here. So guys, basically that's where I'm going to end this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we're going to expand on our player script and allow for jumping and other animation states as well as some physics. So that's basically what the plan, and that's what we'll be doing in the next tutorial. So guys, anyway, if you like this video, please hit like below and put any comments down in the comments section, and let's see what you guys can come up with. And if you've got any other ideas of how we can do things better, please do post that below. So anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.